Let me show you how to glitter a beach themed stapler. Hi, my name's Megan and I've been glittering office supplies since 2015 when I opened my Etsy store. Since then, I've glittered pretty much anything you could think of. I like to start with the nose of the stapler where I'm going to put like the sand equivalent to the beach. I'm using Labyrinth from PDB Creative Studio as my sand. I then let that dry overnight. I did apply it with the glossy Mod Podge and my foam brush, let it dry, and here you see me going back over it with some glossy Mod Podge so I can seal it in. I do like to do that first to make sure it doesn't mix with any of these gorgeous blues that you see here. For my ocean water, I'm using Sea Breeze, Under the Sea, Worthy, and Eclipse, all by PDB Creative Studio. To make like an ombre effect, I'm going to do Eclipse at the back end of the stapler and then kind of go from darkest to lightest all the way up to the sand, but not all the way to the sand. You see I have that little gap there? That's because I'm going to do a layer for like the crashing waves where it's like really white. So make sure you watch the end so you see that. But anyways, like I said, we're starting with the Eclipse here because that is the darkest. This does not have to be a perfect ombre. I do like to use my hands to sprinkle a bit to get rid of that harsh line. But because we're starting with the darkest, I do a heavy hand of each of the glitters after that on top of the layer before, if that makes sense. So it does end up blending really nice. Plus, once I let this dry overnight again and then go back to seal it with the glossy Mod Podge, I'm pretty heavy-handed with the foam brush to even out any of the ombre that had harsh lines. But honestly, it looks pretty good right here. So right now in the video, I'm doing what I said with that glossy Mod Podge layer to make sure it is sealed. You actually don't have to do this step. I do prefer to seal with glossy Mod Podge before I do my UV resin, just because it makes it a little bit easier and less messier when it gets to that final step. And plus, when you're working with multiple colors, it is nice to have it all sealed in so the colors stay where you want them. I think the important thing to remember when you are sealing with glossy Mod Podge on top of the glitter that you applied is that you want a nice thin, even coat. And I would stick to the glossy Mod Podge just because it looks a little, shinier than regular Mod Podge. So I let that dry overnight. Right here, I'm actually using a paintbrush and white acrylic paint to make my like sea foam, like crashing wave portion. And the rest of the stapler is still wet here because I don't mind if this white glitter kind of gets up into the ocean, if that makes sense.